She's Molly.
And she's April.
And we are
the Book Besties. Meet Denise, who's 40, and she's an accountant by day, and just was trying to find love and got bit by a dude in a club and now has to figure out how to feed herself.
Pop your cherry, you're a vampire.
Girl, are you passing a kidney stone? Are you birthing a small child? What is going on?
I'm gonna sleep with all these human women and find out what happens.
Science is fun, kids.
If they weren't driving flashy cars, if they were driving Audis, this is a horrible story. Yeah. Hey!
Hey, babe!
Oh okay. My gosh. Are we matching?
We're totally matching. Minus my Penelope Cruz glasses. Which,
ooh, I like those. Are they new?
Yeah. No, I just don't wear my glasses as much as I should, because terrible life choices and all that jazz.
I have a pair from there too. That's like my backup pair that I was all excited because it's like pink and that's my favorite color. Mm-hmm. It's like this color pink and
it's your jam.
That my wall is behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, this is the color of my glasses, and I was so excited about them. But I never wear them. I wear these that I paid an arm and a leg for from the eye doctor.
But they're like blue. I like your eyeglasses.
I know. Like for some reason, I just sort of feel like I love pink. It's my favorite color, but it doesn't go well with red hair and freckles and green eyes. And
I say, do you, boo-boo. Do you. But I don't know. Zenny's my jam. Not sponsored, by the way.
We're not sponsored by anybody. Hey, I'd love to have them as a sponsor someday, but
we will be more than happy to wear your glasses. But Zenny's my jam. I have rainbow sunglasses. I have those green ones I wear all the time.
Yeah.
I have like those. So, I mean, Zenny's my jam.
We buy our oldest not sunglasses, but his glasses from there because he's had glasses since he was 5 and like they're expensive and he breaks them a lot. So that's why we
where
go
Piper's are from because I don't trust her with expensive glasses because she's a tween who forgets everything.
Yeah, it's hard. Okay, so I guess we should get into it, yeah?
Right, yeah. I mean, you're hosting. This is your book.
I'm hosting this week. Yay! I picked the book that we're doing this week. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Episode 3. This is very exciting. We appreciate the comments, the feedback, the sharing, the people who are following.
Subscribe.
Yeah, liking and subscribing and our followers. We definitely
are reading them.
Yeah.
Swear.
Yeah. We definitely value feedback. And so, we're new to this and this is just a fun project for us. And if you listen to the first episode, you know that this is just about us connecting together and sharing our love of books with other people. And so it's great to have everyone here. Today, we're actually going to talk about the book I picked, which is Twilight.
Which is our bonding book, by the way.
Yeah, definitely is. And also The Hunger Games was the other one because we definitely went to see the movie together for that one. And
that's true.
But Twilight is, I think it's a good choice for our third pod because it's one of those books that people passionately love and people passionately hate. And,
so many people hate it.
So many people hate it. And I think that like within the fandom, there's even like elements of it that you can hate. And it is such a good guilty pleasure book. And so, so we're going to talk about Twilight today. And
lots of strong opinions for sure.
Yeah, lots of strong opinions for sure. Let's get started, I guess. Oh, I do want to say that we do realize that there are 4 books in this series. We have read all of them several times. I just reread Twilight again a few months ago. It is my guilty pleasure book for sure. And we know that there are 4 books in the series, but we're going to focus on the first one today. We may like pull in smidges of things later that happen.
And if you want to hear us cover the others, tell us in the comments.
Yes,
we'll be more than happy. Or a comparison contrast between the books in the series. Yeah. We have lots of opinions about that.
Yeah, that series can get a little plot holy. So
a smidge.
So we can definitely, if you are interested in hearing our take on New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn, we can definitely do that later. But today we're just going to focus on Twilight, the book that spurred the fandom of many young teens, tweens, adults who like shiny vampires. So
I'm gonna pull a quote from a Deborah Harkness book. Vampires do not sparkle. If anybody is a fan of Deborah Harkness's series, she has very, very strong feelings about vampires and how they sparkle. So
Nice. Is that from Discovery of Witches?
it is. It's really funny.
Yay, listeners, if you like that series, if you're a fan of that series, we're going to be covering that one later in the pod. So I just got the book from the library, so I will start reading it.
I'm super excited about that.
I know. But I haven't read it.
Twilight.
But we got to focus on Twilight. So
Word.
Let's talk about Twilight. At this point, I don't feel like we can have spoilers for this because if you haven't seen the movie or read the book of Twilight, you're probably never going to.
Or you live under a rock. If you live under a rock, that's not our problem, babe.
It's sort of like me with Harry Potter. Like, I don't like it, but I know all the things. Like, I know what house I am and all that stuff. So,
now she reluctantly knows her house. Let's make that clear.
Yes, I'm a Ravenclaw. I know that, but I don't really know what that means. But anyway, so let's talk about it. So it's a guilty pleasure book for real. It is one of those books that, like for me, when I read it for the first time, let's talk about that. When I read it for the first time, I was teaching high school. So you all know that I'm a children's librarian. So I no longer work at a high school. But I was teaching high school at the time, and Twilight was like huge. My students were all reading it. Everybody wanted to, be Team Edward or Team Jacob and like all the things. So they were like, you have to read this book. And I was like, okay, I'll read it. Which I frequently did for my students, but like I fell deep into the fandom. At the same time, about maybe a month after I read the first book, I actually met my husband, who is incredible, and he is the editor of this podcast.
Which he will edit out that we said.
Which he will probably edit out that we said that. He actually bought me the whole hardback series box set, which is true love, everyone. That's true love. And he read it with me, which is awesome. So I read his favorite book, and he read all 4 Twilight books. And to this day, he still claims that he doesn't really like them, but he's read all 4 books and seen all 5 movies. So
says the woman that's forcibly reading Harry Potter.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So let's see. The first time I read Twilight, I remember seeing a book trailer by a fan on YouTube.
Okay.
I can't remember what year it was. And I hadn't had Piper yet. So before 09. And I was like, okay, this definitely looks like a kid made it, but I need something new to read.
Yeah.
And so I went to Target, and everybody remembers when Target had their like spotlight deals for books, and books were like super cheap. And I bought book 1. And I was off duty because I was active duty at the time. And I read book 1 in under a weekend, and I'm like, son of a biscuit-eating badger, I have to read the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is a kid's book. Don't tell anybody you're reading it. And now I'm like, whatever. Yeah. I love these books.
Like, I feel like there are a few YA series that, like, really do pull in adult readers. And this is definitely one of those.
Oh, for sure.
And in some ways, this is surprising to me because I guess the concept of romance isn't something that adults shy away from. I mean, there's a huge, romance novels sell hand over fist. I mean, they make a lot of money. Romance and mysteries, that's what everybody's, the adults are into, not me, but
so I have a theory about this, adults that are into this book.
Yeah.
So I have a theory. So the reason I think grown women that are into this book didn't have what they idealize as high school romance. So the reason we enjoy these books so much is it touches on something we never had.
Interesting.
Well, I had a high school sweetheart. I didn't have Brian, we're pals. I dig you, bro. But I don't think what is the traditional high school sweetheart storyline.
Yeah.
And Bella and Edward are like this love at first sight, whole spiel that they believe they belong together. And there's underlining love story from high school that everybody thinks they want and desire. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I can see that. I had my first boyfriend, and I dated for over a year, and we were like ridiculously cute. It was like, I don't know if you know the song. Oh, I can't even think who it's by, but it's like, we sure are cute for two ugly people. Like, that was us.
Yeah.
But for me, this book is so dripping with like saccharine ridiculousness. And it came out at the perfect time where emo culture was like a big thing. So everybody was already,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Emo was high. It was.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody's already painted black and like, you know, gothy and deathy and like, I just have a lot of feelings. And
it was never a phase, Mom.
Yeah. So, like, I feel like it came out at the right time. I think the reason I liked it is because, you know, I just liked diving into this cutesy thing. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about this now, I guess. For me, this book I still read it. I have read it a lot. And I mean, I can't even remember how many times I've read it at this point, but every time I read it now, I really take an issue with the romance in it, because it doesn't feel romantic. It feels like two people who want to understand romance but do not understand love.
Well, it's two loners trying to figure out who they are in a world of extroverts. Yeah. And they're like, you're a loner and I'm a loner. We're mildly attracted to each other. Let's figure this out.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. Yeah. I did you read Midnight Sun that came out?
I have not. Okay, so I did get Cliff Notes from a 12-year-old. Does that count?
So, for our listeners, Midnight Sun, and I guess for Molly who hasn't read it, Midnight Sun is the first book of Twilight series from Edward's perspective, and it actually made me like him less and feel like
I could see that.
He's very creepy. Like he's a creepy vampire. But I don't feel that way when I read Twilight. I only felt that way when I read Midnight Sun.
From my first reading to the second reading, I wrote a note about this, and like Bella is constantly stressing about how Edward looks at her, and it's like, dude, stop putting your issues on her. Whatever your problem is with her is not her fault. And I'm like, girl, snap out of it. Whatever Edward's issues aren't you, right? Like, just like because Edward has a problem isn't your problem. He is just a desk mate in one class.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I'm more of an adult now than when I read it the first time, when I was still technically adult and in charge of teenagers. So I don't know who thought that was a good idea. So but
we're jumping ahead. Did you want to do like a overview? I didn't even think about that.
I am not sure that we really need an overview of this one. Do you think we do?
No. Okay. If you don't know what the book means, if you don't, let's try that again. If you don't know the storyline, leave a comment. Somebody will be more than happy to tell you what the book's about.
Here's the short version of Twilight. Bella Swan moves from Arizona to Forks, Washington, from Phoenix, Arizona to Forks, Washington.
BTW, the people of Forks, as a person of the fandom, I apologize for what our fandom has done to your poor little town.
Although the Quaalude tribe actually has on their website like some of the myths that are
That's fantastic.
Which is really cool.
I still feel bad that, I mean, we may have helped your economy, but seeing 12-year-olds covered in glitter saying that they're vampires,
probably not the way they wanted to go.
Not the awesomest thing. And I will apologize. I'm sorry if I fed into that dynamic. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the rest of the synopsis is that after she moves there, she meets, essentially, I call them the popular crowd. They seem to be the popular crowd that she hangs out with. And then
The plastics.
The plastics. Yeah, Jessica would totally be a part of the plastics, 100%.
100%.
so she meets the Cullen family. When you're really when you read this more than once or have dived into the fandom, you know that they're not all Cullens, that some of them are Hales, and it's a whole thing. But really, they're not all Cullens because they're all vampires, and none of them are actually related to each other. And she has feelings for the youngest one, who has the bronze hair, which they never got right in the movies. And he has a crooked smile, because what's a good YA book without a boy with a crooked smile?
Crooked smile. I mean, technically, Dr. Cullens did turn several of them.
Yes.
Wouldn't some of them have his genetics and technically make them family?
Well, see, we can get into like weird plot holes later in this,
Science,
but
yeah.
like, I don't know. So they fall in love. The lamb falls for the lion. The lion falls for the lamb. What a stupid lamb. What a masochistic lion. Yeah. I messed that up. I'm sorry, Stephenie Meyer. I apologize. It's like,
I'm not.
I literally have that hanging on my wall in my office. Like, I'm not joking. That quote is on my wall in my office. So sorry about that. But so they fall in love, and what's a girl to do when she loves a vampire? Like, what do? He wants to eat you, but not really, because he's a vegetarian. He drinks animal blood. Yeah,
vegetarian.
So that's the story of the first Twilight book. And also, of course, there are people that want to kill Bella, because what kind of story would it be? And I think this gets to my next point. So let's talk about Bella as a heroine or main character. What do you think about this?
Okay, so I have a couple thoughts on Bella. First and foremost, like, when we first meet Bella, we learn she's the grown-up in her life.
Yeah, she is.
She is raising her mother.
Mm-hmm.
When she goes home to Forks, she's taking care of Charlie, which I have beef with the fact that they don't show that in the movie, because she's constantly making meals for Charlie. She's doing the dish, the laundry, the dishes.
And instead they eat at a diner, which is ridiculous.
I get it, because they needed more backstory to show these vampires in town or whatever. We'll get into the movie crossover, but I find it that Bella reached out to someone that was more emotionally mature, because Edward is more emotionally mature, even though he's 17. Yeah. I see her latching on to him as like I get it. I see the point of that is she's the grown up in her life. And I don't think she's ever been a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like she had to learn how to wash. She probably learned how to wash laundry at 6 years old because her mom flooded the house. That's my assumption.
Yeah, Renee is a mess. Yeah.
Right.
So, here's my issue with Bella as the hero of this book. She's not a hero. She's the main character, but she's not a heroine. And this book is the whole series, with the exception of the last book, which has some chapters written from Jacob's point of view, which was a really weird choice. The book is told from Bella's point of view. And that makes sense, because really the audience of that book, the majority of the people who read it are women. And so you're getting, it's the woman's first love experience or whatever. When I read it for the first time, I loved her. I loved her so much. I wanted her to have this great love of her life. She was so awkward and different. And really, she was always made to be a vampire. And that's one of the things I loved about the story. Fast forward to a few years later when I read the Hunger Games series, and I was like, oh, this is what a woman in YA literature should be. This is what a woman in YA literature should be. Katniss is strong and independent, and the fandoms between these two cross over a lot and get compared a lot. And in the third Hunger Games book, Katniss makes a comment that she overhears two of the characters talking about her, and she's going to choose Gale and Peeta, and she's going to choose the one that she needs the most. And her comment is, they're mistaken, because I don't need either of them. And I feel like Bella doesn't have that strength. Without Edward, she literally falls apart.
Crumbles.
Literally falls apart.
Which is ridiculous, because she, like I said, she was the grown-up.
Well, and she's 16.
how is it she went from being the grown-up for her mom and her dad to this boy leaving town in book 2 to not being able to function as a human being?
Right. I said she was 16. She was actually 17. But yeah, so that I totally agree with you. And I feel like even now reading this book as a parent, I have a different view on it than I did when I was single when I read the first book. Like I didn't even know Tom. But now as a parent, when she's like telling Charlie what she's going to do, it's like when you watch The Little Mermaid as an adult, it's like, no, you are a child. You're going to do what I say because I am your parent. I made you.
I'm going to give you an Elsa quote right now.
Yeah.
You can't meet somebody you just met. Like Elsa's like, okay, let's all be Elsa for a moment.
Yeah.
You are not marrying a stranger.
No.
You are not in love with a dude you just met 2 weeks ago.
And like, I totally see high school sweethearts working. Like I have my other best friend. We've talked about her before too. She's married to her high school sweetheart.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
And they probably grew together.
They did. And I think that's actually why we mentioned them with the last one, because, you know, how she and I had been friends for so long. But Bella's never, like, oh man, I don't even know.
So
I don't know.
So I let my oldest Piper, who's 12 going on 25, read
she always
this series. Mm-hmm. So Piper read this, and we had a conversation afterwards. And I asked her opinion about Bella. And she goes, she's really smart. And I go, yes, she is really smart. She goes, why is she whiny?
Oh, I like Piper. She's good people.
And I go, I don't see the whiny until the movies. Yeah. Right? Movie Bella is, but I think what Piper's seeing is her dependency on someone else. And she's interpreting Bella's love me on someone else. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Bella as a character. I think she's well thought out. I think she's well rounded. I don't think she is a one-dimensional character.
No, I don't either.
I just think that when we talk about female heroines in books, we want them to be multidimensional, but we also want them to be able to stand on their own 2 feet.
Right.
And Bella is written as, I need a man. Yeah. Bottom line. Yeah. And I mean, again, book 2. I'm jumping into book 2, but she was like suicidal.
We literally have chapters that are just a single page that just have a month on them. Right. And in the movie, they do that thing where they like keep spinning around and you can see the seasons changing. And she doesn't move.
Like jumping off cliffs to see Edward's face. And it's just,
she's insane.
Anyways, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I also feel like what books, and this is me being a librarian and like, I criticize literature for a living. Like I love being a librarian because part of my job is reading books and deciding if they're good for kids to be on my shelf. Like, should I put this on my shelf? I don't feel like the way that we are writing female characters right now, that a character like Bella holds up, because we are writing young, empowered women.
Right. And I don't think we are writing relationships that way anymore. No. I personally am not I'm writing YA now, and I'm not writing relationships like that right now. But if you do want to have this conversation with your kids, if you're here because you're an adult and you've never read the books and you're like, cool, maybe I'll learn something. If your kid does read this, read it with them. Right. Have a conversation with them about what relationships look like. Right. Because let's not lie, all relationships are different. Right. Marriage is not just one way. Right. Romantic relationships are just not one way. Right. The way you can be romantic and platonic with somebody. You can be romantic and in love with somebody. And I think this book does not cover the basis of what children, tweens need to know about love. Right. And okay, that was a little deep. My bad.
No. Hey, I love it. And I feel like what this book does is it gets the idea that you need to be lost in that first relationship. Because as you mentioned, she went from being the person who took care of her mom and her dad to being completely lost and consumed by that relationship.
I will say this, the longer she's in Forks, the more Charlie's taking care of her. I did notice, like, I did write down that Charlie put the snow chains on her car.
I know.
Like,
I love
you know,
that
and he bought the truck for her, which was really sweet. And like,
he bought the bedding and set up her room and did the things. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, but I don't think Charlie knows how to be a dad.
Yeah.
Charlie knows how to be good time Charlie.
Right.
Because he had her on the weekends. But now that Bella's there consistently, he doesn't know how to parent.
Well, that leads to one of my other things I wanted to talk about. Are Renee and Charlie good parents? Are either of them good parents?
Parenting is a scale.
Yeah.
Parenting is a scale. And I didn't have... My mother was a great mom. My birth father... I don't talk about this a lot, but my parenting dynamic wasn't amazing.
Right.
But that does not take away from the other grown-ups in my life growing up that made up my parenting dynamic. I had my Aunt Pam. I had grandparents. I had other people that showed me how grown-ups behave in the world.
Right.
Did I have to still learn things from other adults when I became an adult? Yes.
Yeah.
But my point, I'm getting to a point, I swear. My point is she wasn't abused. Mm-hmm. She wasn't maltreated. She was loved. Let's underline this. Both her parents loved her.
They loved her a lot, for sure.
They loved her a lot. And I think I don't think Charlie nor Renee were ready to be parents.
Yeah.
And I think they were doing what they thought was best for Bella. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that looks differently, right? Yeah. I think Renee, that meant teaching Bella how to be a caregiver. Yeah. Charlie was space. Charlie was parenting by space. Right. He was in her business when he felt like it was important. Right. He was in her business when he felt she needed him.
Right.
But parenting looks different from different points of view.
Right.
So
I feel like when I read the book, and all of the books really, I really struggle with Renee's decision to leave Bella.
Oh, and it's very selfish.
It is. And even though Bella says that she chose that and that she's going to go be with her dad or whatever, to me it looks like you chose a man over your daughter. And like, what kind of example does that set for her? And then she goes and falls in love with a vampire. So obviously it wasn't a very good one.
And I feel like Bella's need to parent her mom is her going, I'm sure that conversation went, I'll stay here with you if you want. And Bella feeling the need to fix that situation, as always with Renee, she's like, no, Mom, go. I'll live with Charlie.
Right. But I also feel like, I mean, I know that I know Renee is not a real person, although Molly and I enjoy talking about fictional characters as if they are real people.
Because they are in our hearts.
But I feel like my gut reaction, if I knew someone personally who did that, I would be like, oh, why? But then the other part of me is like, but she really hasn't had that time with her dad. And I actually like the dynamic between Charlie and Bella. I don't always think that he has like control of the situation because she's so used to being independent and kind of doing whatever she wanted.
Charlie doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, true. It's like giving a 12-year-old a golden retriever puppy and just being like, best of luck, buddy. I hope you figure this out on your own.
But I feel like so many people can chalk up bad relationships to, well, she had daddy issues. And I don't know that Bella really did. I think she had two different, well, really, if you read the book, the entire series, she had 3 different lives. She had her life with Renee. Mm-hmm. Then she had another life with Charlie. And then she had a third life that was ultimately her life with the Cullens. Right. I struggle with it because sometimes I just want to be like, Charlie, you are literally the chief of police. How are you letting that boy be up in your house, like in the middle of the night? What kind of cop are you, man? Come on.
And the fact that Charlie's spidey senses don't go off.
Right.
He's like, oh, I love Dr. Cullens. Bruh, he's a vampire.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's a great transition to my note here. I'm language warning. My note says the Cullens, : how the fuck do people not realize they aren't human? So
I mean,
the description
they're
of
all
them,
gorgeous,
right?
Well, like, okay, so I have a note about this actually. Like the way Jessica explains who the Cullens are at the lunchroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Stephenie Meyers was setting up for a movie montage. She was like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I can hear the Plastics song in the background that,
Yeah.
like,
Nice.
the little one, they say her hair's full of secrets. Like,
Yes.
because let's not lie,
Her dad
Alice's hair,
invented toaster strudel.
like Alice's hair is full of secrets.
Alice's hair is full of secrets, that's for sure. But the way that they're described in there, we talk about them being beautiful. The description is that they're beautiful beyond, human features.
Like comparison. Oh yeah,
right.
they're Greek gods. They're this.
Right. But I don't know. I haven't actually read the graphic novel version of Twilight, but I've seen illustrations and I've read the authorized companion that Stephenie Meyer wrote, which if you haven't read that and you are a Twilight fan, I highly recommend it because one of the things that's brilliant about it is Stephenie Meyer created all these different stories for characters that are around for like a hot second. They all have a backstory and it's in this book and it's amazing. But she has illustrations.
I do that, by the way. A lot of authors do that. I do that.
I know. Once you told me that you had done that, and I was like, "Good, Stephenie Meyer did that," and she's a millionaire now. But that book has illustrations in it, so you can see what she envisioned they looked like. They don't look human to me. They're very humanoid. They do not look human. And I understand that they can be beautiful, but that pale skin. Okay, I'm pretty pale, so I can live with that. But the way they talk about the dark circles under the eyes, and the skin is almost opaque. That kind of things, that's not natural.
No.
And
you would be, let's not lie, CPS would be involved if all the children in this
dating
family
each other.
Dating each other, and they all look this sick.
Yeah.
You're describing sick children.
Right.
They're opaque. They have circle under your eyes. Okay. They don't eat at lunch.
Right.
Can we talk about this for a second? They have never eaten at lunch?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you don't think the guidance counselor's not going to walk over and be like, Alice, sweetie?
Right. If they weren't driving flashy cars, if they were driving Audis, this is a horrible story. Like, this is like an abuse story.
I want to segue into something. There is this girl, I'm going to forget her name, on TikTok that does like point of views as grown-ups in the high school of...
Oh, you sent it to me.
I sent these to you. And she's like she'll be like teachers and the guidance counselors, and they talk about how creepy the Cullens kids are. I will find it and I will put it in the descriptions because
we'll link into in the descriptions
because she's so hilarious.
Yeah,
and she's just, it's so funny. She is so spot on because she's pointing out things we're all noticing.
Yes.
Okay, so
but the first time you read it, I don't know that you get that because you're drawn into this fantasy of this relationship.
Right. And let's not lie, it's this beautiful... Stephenie Meyer writes a beautiful story. It is, well, it is a lovely story the first time you read it.
Yeah, but honestly, the writing is kind of a hot mess.
Right.
In the first book. Book, she becomes a much better writer as time goes on.
Right. And we all do. Mm-hmm. We all do. So I have a couple notes about like how obsessed the local boys are about Bella.
Yeah. What is up with that?
Okay, I'm from a small town.
Mm-hmm, me too.
So every time a new kid came in, everybody was obsessed with them, right?
Yeah, but we weren't obsessed with them in like a positive way. It was like, ew, there's a new kid.
Oh, see, not in our school. Like, everybody wanted to know them. What they were about. They were nosy. It was fuel for the rumor mill, right? But I have a note. Mike equals golden retriever.
Yes.
Bella. It's like, dude, and like
it's like guys, that guy has not realized that there are other girls in his school. Like,
well, and I think like he hasn't noticed girls because he grew up with them. My husband and I when you grow up in a small school, the way they describe Forks is this very small class.
Right.
Their classes are very small.
Right.
My husband and I graduated from Tioga Center in upstate New York and in Tioga County. Our graduating class was a whole whopping 96 kids.
Wow.
And that was the biggest graduating class in 2002. It's a long time ago, kids. I know. Shh.
2000, turning 40 this year.
Oh, but when you grow up with the same kids, when you start in kindergarten with the same people, and you grow up with them as you go, you don't always see them in a lustful, attractive way. You just see them.
I totally disagree with you because teenagers are always horny and want to get up on that.
For word. But I mean, I was always the loud kid that nobody noticed until I had boobs. So, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was flat. Okay, I'm gonna get whatever. I was flat chested till high school, and then all of a sudden, people knew who I was, and I was like, "Y'all know I've been here the whole time, right?" I had a senior. His mom babysat me, knew me my whole life, would swim every summer with me. And he's like, "Hey, who are you?"
Yeah, but
Molly Johnson, you jerk face. Like, you've known me since I was 7.
But there's a flaw in this theory that you have.
Oh, shit.
Mike didn't grow up there.
That's
he
true.
moved there from California.
So, okay, maybe Mike is just wants to find another outsider.
Yeah, but it doesn't add up to me because essentially this group of friends that she falls into, to me, seems like they're the in crowd. And Mike has the, early mid 2000s like slicked hair going on, and like he looks like Ted
Draco
Mosby,
Malfoy.
and, like, sure, yeah. So he's got that going on, and there's Jessica over there batting her eyes and being all there's no way that boy hadn't noticed her.
By the way, I love the casting for this little group. I think I love the casting for this little group.
Well, and Anna Kendrick was cast in the movie before she was Anna Kendrick.
Right. And I think she was really good. She was really good in camp.
She was fantastic in camp.
Okay. Anyways, but I feel like, I don't know, Mike I don't know. Mike, there's something about Mike I just can't shake.
I don't like him. I think
it's about having something not everybody else has.
Yeah.
Bella was, and everybody was chasing her.
Okay, I don't like him because I feel like I'm actually going to use an example. I know this person will be listening to this because she is our number one fan right now. She may be our only fan right now. I don't know, but I know she'll be listening to this. So my friend Megan, she and I watched the show Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which big time bummer.
Oh, I love that show. I know.
Much. Such a bummer. The first season, she really did not like the relationship between Max and Zoe, and I loved their relationship. I wanted them to get together, and here's why. And this is how I feel about Mike. When you are friends with a girl, you do not own the opportunity to be in a relationship with her.
Word.
And that is what Megan's biggest issue was with Max and Zoe. And that's the issue I have with Mike. He feels like
he had dibs.
He thought he had dibs.
He called shotgun.
Right. And you don't get to do that. So boys, if you're listening, and my sons, if you're listening, you do not get to own a girl because you're friends with her.
Vice versa, ladies.
Right. You don't own him just because she's your friend.
Nope.
No.
We don't get to shotgun until you're walking to the car, babe cakes.
Preach. And I don't think that's something you really understand as a kid and a teenager. You just see shiny thing. I want that thing. And I think it's really hard when you're dealing with the hormones of being a teenager and the brain isn't fully developed until 25. And you're dealing with all of this immaturity, but you think you're grown. And so if you're friends with somebody, it gets really murky of why don't we have feelings for each other?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you've seen it in high school.
Oh, 100%.
Like, that group of like 8 friends that were like 4 boys and 4 girls, and they were all dating each other, and then the mystery disease passed around, and they're all blaming one person.
It's never a mystery disease. It's never a mystery. It's always mono. Never did I know of a student having the clap, but it was mono. There was mono that went around. All right, so
mono did. Okay.
So how about we talk about for a second? Let's talk about how vampires are portrayed in this book and in this series. So the traditional vampire You have the pale skin, the long fingers, which we do get that in that. We get the dark circles on the eyes. We get that in this book. But we also get can't come out at sunlight. They don't have that issue. They can't come out in sunlight because they'll be shiny. Right. And we get the idea that
sparkle here.
Right, sparkly vampire. That's how I like my vampires personally. But we get the idea that there's some sort of altruistic, better than other vampires. And people who are fans of the vampire genre actually do not like Twilight most of the time.
Okay, so as a person that likes vampire novels, part of the reason I read Twilight is because I love
vampire.
Yeah, vampire. It feels candy coated.
Yeah,
I feel like,
and so that's why I like it, because I don't like scary things and I don't like vampire things, but I like this.
I feel like this is a shiny rock. Yeah. I feel like vampire stories are there is supposed to be. Edward is constantly saying he's dangerous, but the way he is written, he is a puppy.
Right.
There is no sense, like, even when he like tries to show her and he takes her on these runs and he shows her all these things about how strong he is, and it feels more playful.
Right.
When you read other vampire novels, they're
dangerous.
They're very dangerous. Right. There is a threat of danger. You will lose your life.
Right.
And Edward's lust for Bella, his need for her blood, this whole thing, it's very romantic, air quote, I'll say. Right. It's very, I love you. It's not, I'm going to drain you and kill you and you're never going to see the light of day like most vampire novels.
Right. And the romance that comes in vampire novels, traditional vampire novels, it's the idea that he would seduce a woman, a vampire would seduce a woman into his bedroom and then bed her and then eat her, basically. Right. Which, yeah. So my mind went somewhere dirty for a second.
Dealer's choice.
So we do actually get a little taste of that there's a fun pun for you. In the last book, we do know that there's a vampire who bedded many women and impregnated them, and then there were little halflings like Renesmee that were born. Which again, the companion guide to it goes deeper into his story, and he really was like sciencing. He was doing this as an experiment. Like, he was like, I'm going to sleep with all these human women and find out what happens.
Right. Because science is fun, kids.
Even for vampires.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I prefer my vampires shiny because I don't like scary things.
Right. So then, like the baseball scene, I love the baseball scene.
Yeah.
I think it's a great scene to show the candy-coated vampire, right?
Right.
They have fun. They're powerful.
Right.
There's no sense of danger.
Right.
It's just they're using their power to be fun.
Right.
Right?
And then you get the dichotomy of the traditional vampires.
When they come into the game, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say you do get a little sense of the bad, evil vampires when the kids go to the La Push Beach. And Jacob and all the kids from the reservation comes out, and there's that quote, the Cullens don't come here.
Yeah.
Right? And then Jacob tells Bella the whole story of the Cold Ones and their treaty with the Quaalude
right.
I'm going to screw that name up. The tribe.
Quaalude.
I was saying,
at least I think that's how you say it. That's how they say it in the movie.
I was saying it like a drug.
Yeah, that's not how I said it in my head when I was reading the book, but I think it's Quaalude.
If you have a proper pronunciation, tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
We'll be more than happy to correct ourselves.
Right. We don't want to offend the tribe either, because they are actually a true Native American tribe.
And we appreciate you guys not getting mad about the book. And so also, old tech alert, by the way, throughout this whole book.
Oh yeah,
they're playing the CD player, right?
Yeah. She Googles something, although I'm not even sure she Googles it. She just does a web search.
She does. Well, that's in the movie.
No, she does a web search in the book too.
Right. And then she's like listening to the CD player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like in chapter 7, she's talking about how she has to get the modem going. And then after she gets back to the computer, all these pop-up ads are kids. Right. Pop-up ads were this thing when we had computers and you'd open your browser, all these little bots would just send stuff to your computer.
Right. And dial-up internet was where the phone worked as the internet.
It plugged in.
Welcome to being old.
And it made this sound.
Yeah. And then you heard, you've got mail.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Ginger's excited something's up front. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's cool. I like dogs too. I speaking of the music, do you know what band she was listening to?
No, I don't.
Muse.
Oh, yes. And Muse is all over the soundtrack.
All over the soundtrack. Cool. So when Stephenie Meyer, oh my gosh, this is really painting me as like one of those crazy fans, isn't it? When Stephenie Meyer was writing the book.
I knew Muse was all over the movies.
Yes. So when she was writing the book, she was listening to Muse and My Chemical Romance, which who wasn't listening to Muse and My Chemical Romance in the I was in the mid-2000s.
I was hitting the club bangers, Little John and all that jazz.
Oh, but you're a baby, so it's okay. But I was probably younger than you. It's true. I was way too old to be an emo person, but somehow I felt like that was my people. I was too old for it. But anyway, that's what Stephenie Meyer was listening to. And so just based on that description of what she was doing, and I think I've actually seen an interview with her where she said it's Muse. And if I'm wrong, other fans that know more than me, please correct me. Us. I'm okay with being wrong. I'll apologize, but I'm pretty sure it was Muse.
And you know what? Link the Reddit thread in the comments even.
Yeah. Do it. We're here for it.
We want the receipts, y'all. So let's see.
Do you think this book would have had the same impact or would it have had a different impact if Edward was a traditional vampire who fought his urges specifically and only for Bella? Like, what if he were truly like the traditional vampire and he just didn't kill her?
I think the story would be different because it would be more. So I just started Vampire Diaries on Netflix. I haven't read the books, but I just started. Okay, so Vampire Diaries is set in high school.
Yeah, well, we owe Stephenie Meyer for launching all of this vampire.
For sure.
Now, I know that I want to say True Blood series. I know that actually the first one of those came. No, the first one of those I think came out before, didn't it?
The books did, not the show.
Series, right? But the whole vampire nonsense it started with this.
Right. Her popularity definitely blew this up.
Right.
But so there's that storyline of the bloodsuckers in the town of Vampire Diaries, right?
Right.
And it makes all this drama and it makes it more intense. I think he wouldn't be a high school student. If he's drinking blood in a small town.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're not going to be crossing paths. You're not going to be getting the dynamic and the relationship that they're having.
Yeah.
And so,
I don't think that it made sense for them to be high school students anyway.
But how else would they cross paths?
They wouldn't, obviously.
Right.
And that's the whole point of that. But I don't think it ever made sense to me that they were high schoolers because they're clearly too smart for that because they've done all this many, many, many times.
Right.
Besides the fact that apparently they're all brilliant.
But every single one of them. Let's not lie.
They want to start with Edward being a freshman so that they can stay somewhere for longer. But since they all have those relationships together, I feel like that wouldn't work being in high school. Nobody is going to just let it slide that Rosalie is making out with her brother. Emmett.
Right.
We're just not going to let that slide.
No. I went on a tirade actually about this with Matt when I was re-listening to this audiobook. Mm-hmm. So we never write vampires as 40-year-old accountants who randomly got bit at a club one night and are now trying to figure out their life. It's always a 17-year-old golden goddess who's just trying to find love.
Well, they're not always young because if you interview with a vampire, they're not young. Right. But they also were fancy pants rich guys. So
but more modern day, day stuff.
Right.
You don't meet Denise, who's 40 and she's an accountant by day and
Right.
just was trying to find love and got bit by a dude in a club and now has to figure out how to feed herself.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and if you write that, I get credits. Thanks.
Well, that's sort of the Magicians TV show kind of does that, but with werewolves.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Magicians.
Do you want to finish up with like our compare contrast to the movie real quick?
Yes, I do. And then I have a final quick take question for you to wrap up. But no. Sorry. Let's first talk about the movie, and then I have a quick take question that we'll end with. I think it'll be fun.
So I hate movie Bella. Hard.
But I like Kristen Stewart.
I love Kristen Stewart.
Not movie Bella.
Movie
Why
Bella.
does she always make this face?
Oh, and why is she always in pain? And
why is she always like, would you kiss me?
Does she have gallstones? Girl, are you passing a kidney stone? Are you birthing a small child? What is going on?
She always looks like she has to like be hidden in her hair, and like this is.
And I have a feeling this was all direction, by the way, by directors and like people behind the scenes. Hey, Stewart, we love you.
Yeah, I would blame this on the first director who only directed the first movie. And I feel like the first movie is the worst of all of the movies. And I think a lot of that had to do with the direction. And Kristen Stewart is a fantastic actress. And people that have only seen her in Twilight do not understand that. Like, she is fantastic.
She's so good.
She's so
Go watch Panic Room.
Oh, Panic Room's great. And she was a kid in that. But as an adult, what is that book that we read that it's about the woman with Alzheimer's and then it was made into a movie?
Still Alice.
Yes, Still Alice. She's so amazing in that. She's amazing.
Okay, did you see the new Hulu show with her in it?
No.
And Danny Levy.
Yes, the movie. Yes, I saw it. It was so good.
Movie.
So good.
She was good in Charlie's Angels. Okay,
I didn't see that.
Okay, so the new Charlie's Angels remake. K-Stu, love ya.
Right.
You are hilarious. Fantastic.
But Kristen Stewart as Bella? No.
Now,
does she have the physical look of how I picture Bella? Yes.
Word.
She looks exactly like how I picture Bella.
Of course.
She does not act how, I mean, she's just, it's bad.
It's so funny.
Bad. You can actually watch YouTube clips. I highly recommend people do this. You can watch YouTube clips that it's like bad acting in Twilight. And like, there's a scene where she and Rob Stewart, Edward, roll up into her dad's police station and she goes, "What is going on?" And the way she said it is like, what is going on? Like, that's not how you talk. Like, that's not a natural way to talk.
So if you want to see a funny video about that, Try Guys do a really hilarious video of how they reenact the whole Twilight series, which I will put in comments. We'll put in the comments of the YouTube page. It's so funny because the Try Guys are funny, but like
that's amazing.
Them just trying to do it. So that's.
I also don't. I'm not a fan of talking about the first movie. I'm not a fan of the lighting. Like everything is blue.
No,
why is everything blue?
It makes my brain hurt.
The series as a whole, they don't do a very good job of not changing the way the vampires look. So Edward, I mean, obviously Robert Pattinson was getting older as the series was going on, so he is changing.
By the end of that series, he was so tired of press.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at from the beginning.
And there was like a whole scandal where Kristen Stewart cheated on him and like it was like a whole thing. So I'm sure he was just over it.
Okay. But I also think the cheating stuff, and I think we're only getting one point of view of that.
Oh, absolutely. And who knows what really even happened?
I feel like that was just a forced narrative to keep Twilight relevant.
It could have been. It could have been.
And I feel like when you have a PR agent in front of you saying, you have to be mad, your girlfriend's cheating on you. Even if she's not your girlfriend anymore, you fake it.
Or
and that could be
were they even together? Like, we don't really know. No. I mean, it could have been.
I think Robert Pattinson was just probably tired of playing the Twilight game.
Well, and he's a better actor than he plays Edward.
I don't know. After Twilight, the only thing I saw him in was Harry Potter, and it's like, Cedric, you're a terrible actor.
You should see Water for Elephants. He's really good.
That was good. Okay, I did like that.
And also the book is really good too if you haven't read the book.
I've read the book. The Twin Towers movie he was in, There was a movie about Twin Towers. I'll put it in the comments of what it's called.
Well, and now he's finally going to be Batman. So
I have strong opinions about that.
Yeah, I don't really watch the DC movies.
And I am a comic book nerd, so I do have strong opinions about all the castings. I still have issues with Ben Affleck being Batman. So
yeah, I don't get that at all.
Come for me in the comments. We'll fight. I promise. Anyway,
but no, the movie, the lighting was bad. Over the series, the characters changed too much. For the the fourth and fifth, they try to make Alice's hair more similar to what it is in the
right. But why don't we just keep consistency, man?
Right. And that's what bothered me. Like, actually, the way Alice's hair is described, she had basically had a shaved head that had started to barely grow out. So in the last two movies, they kind of give her a really short wig. I liked her little flippy things she had going on.
Yeah.
And they should have just kept that because the vampires are not supposed to change.
The true rock star of those movies is Charlie. He does not change. He sticks to his line.
Yes. Also, he's a really great actor, too.
He is. He's so good. What is his name?
Bill Burke.
Yes.
And he's on 911 Lone Star right now, which is a Fox show. Yeah, he's a character on there. I think he might get promoted to series regular next season. That's spoilers if you haven't seen the season finale. Yeah, so the movie, not my favorite. I have to say something about the final movie that is one of my least favorite plot holes that the movie creates, not the book. The movie ends with Alice showing Edward the future for Renesmee and Jacob. But she can't do that because she could never see Renesmee's future. So why?
Right.
Why? But I did love I did love what they did with the final movie where they gave a reason for Arrow not attacking them. That was brilliant. And I literally was crying and hysterical in the movie. I was like, they killed him.
Oh, killing Carlisle was you know how many people were so if you went, there was a lot of us that went to the midnight showings.
Yeah. I didn't go to the midnight showing, but I went to the next day with my husband.
I went to midnight showing of the last one, and it was here in the Houston area, and it was a lot of us in our age group and like with their teens and whatnot. And there was a audible when they killed Carlisle.
Yeah. Excuse me. I just want to show you what Tom's face was. I know that you that are listening to this pod will not be able to see this. Those of you watching on YouTube can see. I'm literally hysterical, grabbing onto Tom. They killed Carlo. They killed Carlo. I'm so loud. I don't know how people were not complaining. And Tom's sitting there like this. He made no indication that he cared, that this was important to him. And he's read all the books. He knows that this is not the same thing that happened in the book. And he's just sitting there, blank face, like, okay, whatever.
I dragged Matthew to that. And we all audibly gasp. And Matt leans over and goes, I don't remember that happening. I go,
it didn't. That's why we're freaking out.
He goes, am I missing something? I go, I don't know. Watch the movie.
Yeah, it was crazy. All right, so I actually just came up with a second quick take. So we're gonna have two quick takes, and I think we need to wrap up because we're getting close to that hour mark, and people are done with their exercise and they don't want to listen to us anymore. So two quick takes. Two quick takes. What is your pet peeve plot hole of we'll go with the series. Pet peeve plot hole of the series.
Okay, so I just saw TikTok on this. Okay. Stephenie Meyer has said over and over that every liquid that comes out of these vampires is venom and turns people. How do they make a baby I'm getting graphic. If every liquid that comes out of those vampires is venom, she should have turned into a vampire during sex, not made a baby.
Yeah. So my biggest plot hole is also with the baby. Renesmee is their child. I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to be a little graphic here. Sperm is alive.
We both are.
Sperm is alive. Vampires are dead. Also, does Edward just walk around with an erection all the time because he's like hard stone? So is he just like always like packing heat, like walking around erect all the time, but somehow he has sperm? Like, how does he have sperm? How? So that's also my biggest plot hole.
So I have to say it doesn't make sense.
No.
If all of the liquids that come from these vampires create venom.
Yeah. You're gonna die, Bella.
But it's during sexy time, so congratulations.
Right. Yeah. Pop your cherry, you're a vampire. All right, so
Mazel tov.
Right. So now, second quick take, and then I think we're gonna wrap up for the day. Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Ooh. Books, I'm Team Edward. Movies, Jacob.
Books, Team Edward. Movies, Team Jacob. But damn, Taylor Lautner.
He was a child. We're not allowed to say that.
Okay, well, we'll just say that for when he was older, okay?
Okay, we appreciate the young man you have grown to be, young man. I will say this. When it comes to Edward versus Jacob, I think Jacob has always been loyal.
Mm-hmm.
I never doubt Jacob's loyalty to Bella throughout the series. Edward constantly makes me judge his loyalty. He keeps leaving her. He can't decide if he wants to stay or if he wants to go. Like,
Edward is trying to protect her from a literal monster.
Himself. He is thinking about himself.
No, he's thinking about her because he loves her enough. It's like that song, Happier, which is I
want you to be happier.
I want you to be happier. Even if that means you can't be with me, I want you to be happy. And that's why Edward is her true love, because he does love her enough to be unselfish for her. Jacob thinks he owns the right to be in a relationship with her.
That is true. I will say that. He does feel like he has dibs. He thinks he's got shotgun. Okay. Again, we reiterate, menfolk. Just because you're pals does not mean you have dibs on your lady friend.
Right. And girls too. You don't have dibs on your man friend.
No. Okay, so.
All right, so I think we have to wrap up.
We definitely do. So, next week is the fourth episode.
Fourth episode.
I'm going to be your host.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about the selection. I brought the book over just because I was so excited.
Oh my gosh. I have Twilight on my desk here too. Oh, the selection. Kira Cass has got to have the best illustrators for her covers. They are gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay, so supposedly this is in talks to be a Netflix show.
Yes, I have heard that.
So I'll have the goods for that when we do this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Read Kira Cass' The Selection, and we will talk about that next week.
Yes.
So thank you all so much for joining us, Molly. As always, I love to see you.
I love to talk
your books
face.
About you. It's
of course.
With you. It's amazing. I love talking books with you.
As always, it's been a blast, babe cakes.
Yeah.
Been a blast. Like, subscribe, share.
All the
things.
Your friends,
tell your grandma.
Us, email us.
Please tell your grandma we were talking about vampire sperm today.
Vampire sperm, folks. You heard it here first. All right. Bye. Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April and not of anyone else. Today's book was Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins. And music is Sleep Sweetly by Brigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. If you would like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.